in the life of the blog, it's been redesigned a couple of times. Early on, we had comments that appeared after, say, a blog entry like this. You would see the comments right away. At some point in one of the redesigns, the comments kind of got hidden, so you had to click again. Very unpopular with the commenters. They wanted to be able to see that right away. But they kind of hung with us. I think we actually lost some readers. You get very accurate statistics, or we do, on readership with something like this. And it seemed like we dropped a bit after the redesign, and the comments sort of moved inside. But over time, I think we got people back, and we've gradually increased our readership. Again, on the specificity of the statistics you get, I know that I have, in this 2 years, myself done 3,000 postings, more than 3,000 postings, and elicited more than 4,000 comments from people. And our readership started in the low 3 digits in terms of page views per day, and we've had in the mid 5 digits on our best days. More typically, you know, we're now 8,000 or 9,000 page views a day. During the week, on the weekend, it drops off some. Although our blog has a steadier through the weekend readership than some of the others, because we load it up on the weekend to have some things, and I think the kind of people who come to our blog are less interested in breaking news and just stuff having to do with religion. There are a lot of blogs at the Dallas Morning News now, and far and away the most popular, just humblingly most popular, is the Dallas Cowboys blog, which is, you know, they say about football in the South that it's almost like a religion, and I think that the formulation has to be reversed in Dallas. It's like religion is almost like the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. They get an incredible number of page views. I'll talk briefly about what I see as the good, the bad, and the unresolved about blogging. I think it has, for those of us who've been involved in it, Bruce Tommaso, Jeff Weiss, and I have done most of the religion blogging. Jeff's a longtime religion reporter, and Bruce was editor of the section that went away. It's been an education for us. We've learned about a lot of, we've learned a lot. We've learned about a lot of other publications and trying to find good links. I think it's just expanded our knowledge generally of the religion world. I think we've been to some degree successful in being a clearinghouse for religion-related information and ideas, and in that way have had a role in educating others. The blog has been a place to put stuff that we couldn't get in the paper, as little as briefs, but as long as long Q&As and full text of court decisions, and just things that we might have been frustrated at not being able to get the space for in the paper. The blog is there for that. And videos, we do some of that. It is, of course, very interactive, and there's some good sides to that. You can post something and get an immediate response and be on top of things. The way the blog works at the Dallas Morning News, it's ours. There's no supervision, no editors. You just go to it. And so there's a kind of frontier and empowered feeling to operating a blog. That has been my experience. The bad would be is it can be very time-consuming, extremely time-consuming if you're sort of committed to a certain number of postings and trying to make it interesting day by day. In improving comments, if you get, I mean, we have had 80, 100 comments on to a certain posting, depending on how hot the subject is. And we're now in a situation where we don't have to approve every comment, but for a while you had to physically approve every comment, click to do that, and it was just carpal tunnel syndrome situation for me. You go home and soak your hands because you're just clicking so much. Another downside is I have found it to be kind of the cyber version of talk radio, and that you get a lot of grumpy old men who have very hard and fast positions on issues theological and political and cultural, and they just yell at each other in these postings. Far less than I would have expected of sort of reasoned people changing their mind in postings, or that was a good point. I appreciate that. I don't see too much of that. I think the other downside that I've seen is just the time taken from journalism. I mean, it can become for a reporter, it can become an excuse instead of making that hard phone call or getting out of the office or digging into that particular story, the records that you need or whatever. You just say, well, I'll blog for a half hour. And I do think blogging is light work, and I don't mean to dismiss it. I think it can be useful work, but I think psychologically it can become a substitute for the harder work of good reporting. Unresolved, in my mind, is this a fad? What is the longevity of this blogging phenomenon? I know I covered, and I'm sure some of you did too, the sort of insurrection within the Southern Baptist Convention led by bloggers, and it was hot for a while and seems to have cooled off some. Whether that will happen with the blogs operated by mainstream newspapers, I'm not sure. If they're not a fad, if they do have legs, are they contributing to the creation of a sustainable economic model that will support large news gathering organizations like newspapers? More specifically, will they support me and my wife at the Dallas Morning News? I don't know whether blogs are gonna be a big help in that end. One reason I worry about that is because, you know, however many blogs there are at the Dallas Morning News, we don't read each other. It's a very fragmentary thing, and I just don't know if we're going to continue to be a mass medium, whether blogs really help with that or sort of contribute to the general fragmentation that I see going on. Quickly, other unresolved things for me. What constitutes a blog entry as opposed to something you want to put on the homepage as a kind of short web story, as opposed to something in the newspaper? I don't know. I mean, we're making situational decisions all the time without a lot of guidance, a lot of thinking through of where things should go when in the news cycle, and we're just feeling our way. And so I think it's a frontier. I think it's exciting. I think it's making a contribution. I think there are a lot of dimensions to it that as we've gone into it so quickly, haven't been fully explored. I'm glad to be a part of it. I still consider myself a print guy, and my advice, at least based on my experience in my newsroom, is that if an editor walks over to you with an assignment, it's still probably not a good idea to say, go away, I'm blogging. So my thoughts.
Thanks very much, Sam.